Welcome to Sipping on Excellence. This is Coach KJ, and I'm here with my man, my dude, the Doc.
And this is where we will be discussing the exceptional that is absolutely attainable. My friends, here's to living that extraordinary life.
Cheers.
All right, you guys, welcome to another episode of Sipping on Excellence. Doc here, Coach KJ.
Coach KJ. Dr. Lynn L. Hunt.
And
So official. You like that one?
dude, I got the scrubs on today.
You like the way I said that, Lynn? I said your name correctly, the way your mama.
The way my mama said it. The way my mama said it's supposed to be said.
Boy, I hate when people mess up other people's names.
I got the official gear on today. I'm trying to make it way official today. If I can get these cables right. Oh my God. Boy. Anyway, man.
Boy, we
what
learn
a day, what
and
a
we
day.
learn and we learn. If you ain't learning, you ain't living.
If y'all only knew what we go through to put this shit on for y'all. We enjoy it. But the setup, yeah. I'm just saying.
Man, you can officially use that. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Because you know what? That one gets me too, boy. People say, I'm just saying.
What are you just saying? What are you just saying?
You can say that now.
Right.
With what you just said.
Whew. Anyway, we're happy to have y'all back again. We got some good shit to talk about today.
Yes.
Some good shit to talk about today.
Yes. Yes.
Coach and I want to talk to you guys about boundaries and standards and kind of just unrealistic expectations. You know, all that shit wrapped up into one. Yeah. Let's dive into this shit. Let's unpack it.
Where do we start?
Let's start with yourself. You know what I mean? Like, so many people have expectations of others.
Correct.
But yet they don't set boundaries. You know, so one thing I want to talk about, and this is what really rubs people wrong. Mm-hmm. The difference between men and women and their ability to have boundaries and standards. Mm-hmm. It's okay for a woman to have standards, but when a man has standards, it's misogynistic, or it's toxic, or it's superficial. You know, you like what you like. Here's what I want.
Right.
You know, and what's interesting was that thing I sent you, which you started to listen to earlier, about how people think they know what a man wants and then what a man really wants. And we say it all the time. Peace.
Yes.
You know, and so she went through explaining kind of all of that in that thing I sent you. You got to watch it. It was actually, to hear it come from a woman's mouth explaining it to women.
Yeah.
Was a good thing. But we want to talk about setting boundaries, you know, and how it's okay to have standards without having unrealistic expectations of yourself and of others.
Yeah.
You know, I think I'm learning to set boundaries, especially in what I do for a living. Because as time goes on, I've given people way too much access.
I'm laughing because I see the changes. Especially over the last year.
Yeah.
I've seen dramatic changes in things that you've made decisions saying, yeah, no, this is cut off.
Right. And setting boundaries is having boundaries and actually enforcing them goes along with what we talked about in a previous podcast about the power of no. Mm-hmm. You know, being able to tell people no, or being able to say, you know what, I've set these boundaries on how I expect you to interact with me. Mm-hmm. And if you can't stay within those boundaries, then I don't need you in my life. Mm-hmm. Whether it's work, a relationship,
however,
whatever it may be. Mm-hmm. And if I enforce those boundaries, or if I set a standard and I stick to it, am I looked at as evil, or am I looked at as being toxic because I'm setting these boundaries and I refuse to step outside of them? No, it's just, if I want you to treat me a certain way, I got to say, hey, these are my boundaries. You can't take advantage of me because here's where I need you to be. Mm-hmm. And at work, it's tough because my life is spent with that mindset of, oh, I got to help everybody. But then people start to take advantage of that.
Yes, they do.
And then where does it end? Oh, people need you for this, or I need you for that. Oh, could you squeeze one more patient in to be seen? Or I know it's late, but could you come see this patient? And in the beginning, I was like, ego was like, I got to go see him because I think I'm the best at what I do, or I think I'm really good at what I do, and they want me, so I take that as a compliment. Let me go see them. Then after a while, I got to be like, you know what? I ain't the only spine surgeon out here.
Right.
And your problem isn't so specific that I'm the only one that can treat it. And so I started telling patients that, look, I'm available, but not for another 3 weeks. You're more than welcome to go see somebody else first. I'm not going to work more because you feel this is urgent for you. And my life and outside of this doesn't matter to you.
Yeah, your entitlement doesn't trump my boundaries.
Yeah. And a lot of us who are high achievers, who work a lot, we tend to set boundaries in our personal life, but we don't set boundaries in our work life. And that shit doesn't work. Mm-hmm. It doesn't work at all. And then when you try to really enforce boundaries in your personal life, you come off as being a little bit because that really was meant for your work life, mm-hmm. but you bring it home, What people forget too is you got to set boundaries with your significant other. I was having this conversation with someone, and this was a few days ago. That's why I brought that up to you, because she was like, well, you should be completely open to your significant other if you're trying to let them in, and there should be no boundaries. I disagree. Your significant other can take advantage of you just like a stranger can.
Boundaries are self-preservation.
Yes. You have to set a standard for what you will and will not tolerate.
Yeah. Standards are, I think people, and this is something to think about, and it's got me thinking about it from the standpoint of when we did the whole men and women and what they were saying and their feedback on each other as far as their, dislikes, likes.
Right.
Men had standards because it was 1, 2, 3 things. Women, it was rules based off of their rules.
Right. And the men were saying things that this is what I want in a woman, and this is what I don't want in a woman.
Yes.
And everybody thought the thing we got a lot of heat for on that one was the part about how people kind of let themselves go. They get in a relationship or they get married with kids and they let themselves go. And a lot of guys said that's one of the things they dislike. And the feedback I got was, oh, you guys are that's so superficial. But when you say, I want somebody 6 foot and make 6 figures, that's your preference. But yet we're being beat up for our preference.
Yeah.
We're not allowed to have a preference. We're not allowed to have a standard for ourselves, but you are.
Right.
We get beat up for having because our preferences are superficial. Excuse me. They may be superficial to you.
Yeah.
But we're visual creatures.
Yeah.
So that's part of what we look for. Yeah. But like that lady said that I sent you, she's like, yes, you guys think a man will take a woman any day who's his piece over a woman who is stunning and is not his piece. So as much as we say we're visual creatures, if he's attracted to you and you're his piece, he ain't going nowhere. Right. Our standard, our boundary is peace and respect. Mm-hmm. Most of us don't get the peace we want, so we settle for the respect that we we feel we deserve.
Right. Yeah. I going back, there's a huge difference between standards and rules.
Yeah.
Standards is this is my pinnacle. This is it.
Right.
It's not that you have to be exactly a certain thing but these are the things that create a level of peace for me. These are things that make me happy. These are the things
that I could be happy with.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think the difference, a lot of times the rules paint a picture of it's in this box. It's a check off. It delineates anybody else because it has to fall within these parameters. And I think people get caught into those rules and they can't move around them. A standard, the rules can be broken, but at the same time, these are the basics.
Right.
These are these 5 things.
Right. And here's the funny thing. People always tell me my standards are too high when I talk about
I hear that.
Women, right? And things that I would want. But I only hear my standards are too high from women who feel they don't meet my standard. My friends don't tell me that. You know what I mean? They're like, dude just wants what he wants. And the funny thing is people say, oh, your standards are just too high without even asking me what my preferences are. They don't know. They're just assuming because I'm single that my standard, all these people want you, but you don't want any of them, so your standards must be too high. No, it's just they're not beneath my standard. They're just not my preference.
Correct.
If I prefer wearing red shoes and you want to give me a pair of black shoes, I'm not saying my red shoes are any better than the black shoes. I just say I prefer the red ones. It's not a standard. It's just you have to meet that standard of being a red shoe for me to want you. Mm-hmm. You're not any less of a person because you have a black shoe. No, I just want the red shoe.
Yeah.
But
and then what happens is because they're already forming their thoughts, they are expecting you to be a certain way.
Oh, for sure.
Because you are not with someone.
The funny thing is people will tell me all the time, oh, you look like you probably want one of these LA Instagram models, this, that, and the other. And I'm like, y'all couldn't be further from the truth. And it's always, what are you looking for? Your standards are too high. And I'm like, do you even know what my preferences are?
Instead of asking you,
you're just assuming.
To give them. You're assuming. They assume to give it to you as well.
Or if I say, yeah, I'm not interested in someone. Oh, your standards are just too high.
That sucks.
Here's my issue with that statement. I will never tell someone their standards are too high. That's like telling someone you dream too big. You know what I mean? It's like if I have, and I always tell people, I don't expect anything from someone else if I can't meet it myself. I don't have a standard that I can't meet myself. Mm-hmm. I don't set that standard for someone else if I'm not meeting that bar. If I say, I want you to be educated, I want you to be attractive, I want you to be all this, if I'm not working towards that myself, how could I expect that from you? Now it's different. I see, because we as men want things that are different than what women want. If a woman says, I want a guy who's this, and this, who's got a great career, he's ambitious, he's this, I'm not going to be like, oh, you're a gold digger. I'm going to be like, good for you. That's what you want. That's your preference, and you've set that as a standard for yourself. Now, if you're setting that as your must-have and a standard, you're chasing the same 1% as everybody else. Then that's cool. If you want to put that as your standard, that's cool. I'm not going to knock you for it.
Right.
Do you, boo-boo? You know? But everybody has their own set of standards and their own set of preferences. There's going to be plenty of people that think my standards aren't high enough because I'm willing to accept this. But what you think I'm accepting, I may think is exceptional.
Because they're yours.
Because there's something about that person that is exceptional. They may not be wealthy. They may not have a PhD, but they may be smart as shit in common sense and may be a true ride or die.
True.
You know? And so then what? Is that my standard being low, or is my standard really high because they have all of that? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's about how you look at it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You know, like I have certain standards for work.
You have to.
In what I do every day, I look for perfection, because if I don't strive to be perfect, then I might miss something. And if I miss something, that's detrimental to people.
Right.
You know, and so I have high expectations of the people that work with me. The people that are in my presence, I have standards for them. You can't meet these standards, you get replaced.
Yeah.
Because patients deserve me to have high standards.
That is one thing you will, especially when you're providing a service. If you're providing a service, you have to have this high standard.
Yeah.
You know, if someone comes to me and they want to train, they say, I want to lose weight or I want to get better. I have to know how to feed them and provide for them the best service possible to get that outcome.
For sure.
You know, and to be able to hear them beyond just, I just want to lose weight.
Yeah.
Or I just, you know, creating a better standard. I'm even creating better standards for them because their standards might be only so much. I have to create a better standards. Like, yeah, but we also want to improve the quality of life. I'm going to put that on the back burner. Oh yeah, we want you to be able to, you know, the longevity, the shopping for groceries, to be able to taking care of family and parents, longevity. That's what I'm thinking, but they're thinking just lose weight.
The thing that people do too is they settle for just okay. You know what I mean? It's
100%.
Oh, this person or this thing, it's okay, and I'm all right with just okay. Well, then you've lowered your standard to meet the person rather than having the person meet your standard. You know, I expect to be treated a certain way. If this person doesn't treat me that way, then my standard, if I keep them, then I've lowered my standard to accept that person for who they are, because I'd rather be with someone beneath my standard than to be alone.
Yeah.
And that to me is the craziest shit.
I'll lose myself to be with you.
Correct. I will.
That's what happens.
And this is why you see so many people who will say, you ask them to describe the person that, like their ideal person. Mm-hmm. And then you look at the person they're with and they don't even match. Why? Because if they want a list of 10 things, they've settled for 2 or 3. Mm-hmm. Because they figure, I'm losing time, or they start to believe the story that others tell them that their standards are too high. Right. And I saw something that somebody was saying about time. Time is not, it's created. It's a man-made thing. The concept of time. I have to finish school at a certain age. I have to get married at a certain age. I have to have kids by a certain age. I have to work for so many years. I have to work 8 hours a day, and then I have to retire at a certain age. That concept is a social construct started by man. And so only you put yourself on a time frame when it comes to how you live your life. The world doesn't make you live a certain way. You've just decided I'm going to follow that time frame. Oh, since I'm not married by 30, I really want to have kids, so I'm just going to marry anybody. I'm going to take who wants me instead of getting what I want.
Yeah.
And so,
You know how many movies were made off of that?
yeah, so you've lowered your standards and you've now you now have no boundaries because people will step across those boundaries all the time and push the limits with you to see how far they'll get. And that's how you end up with a not shit dude or a not shit woman. Because you're like, all right, well, they've crossed the boundary, but I drew my line in the sand and they stepped across it and was like, what now? And you're like, okay.
Yeah.
And you keep drawing that line in the sand because you don't know how to control those boundaries.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, we brought that up in Nice Guys.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Nice Guys. They have no boundaries.
None. They have standards, but because they don't have boundaries, they allow people to step all over their standards.
Correct.
And if they get somebody that they think they're punching above their weight class, they really just
Out the window.
their boundaries go out the window and they can get treated any kind of way. And a lot of times when a woman is the breadwinner or if she doesn't respect her dude or if the dude doesn't respect his woman, those boundaries get crossed all the time. And they just let it happen because they think this is all I can get, or I'm stuck in this for now. And you're stuck in it because you've lowered your standards. If you kept a high standard, yes, you might be alone, but you won't be miserable and with somebody. If you kept a standard of what you would accept from your boss, or you don't let, like boundaries get crossed at work all the time. And that's how you get these shitty work relationships. You have a boss crossing that line with an employee. You have people who work together crossing that line and not setting that work-life boundary. And then once you cross that line, it becomes a shitty situation.
Yeah.
Because I think those lines get blurred. And then it's like, all right, what the fuck do we do now?
Yeah. I had a conversation with a client the other day, and one of the things, it was 6 o'clock in the morning. And she said, oh, I was checking my emails this morning. And I said, whoa. You checking your emails this morning? She said, yeah, I had to check my emails to see what my schedule was today and what time my meetings were. I said, whoa. I see you at 6 o'clock. So what time were you checking your email? She's like, oh, right before I got here. I said, we got to take a step back. I said, you got to create some boundaries. I said, you have to start your day off with you first, whether it's meditating, deep breathing. I don't care what it is. Planks, push-ups, I don't care what it is, connecting to your mind and your body connecting, because you're just waking up. You're breaking fast. The next thing, give love to your husband. He's second. The third, give love to your child. Then you can go ahead, come to me, check your emails or whatever, because when you're coming in, your mind is already set on what's going to happen during the course of the day, during work. You're not focused here, and we need to get results here. I can't give you results if you're focused on what's going on at work, because you're not with me.
And I'm guilty of this. If somebody sends you an email in the middle of the night or reaches out to you in the middle of the night and it's not urgent, if you answer it in the middle of the night, then they will always cross that boundary. You've now set a new boundary that this is okay.
What they say? You give them an inch, they'll take a yard.
Oh, for sure.
You give them a ride, they think you're your homie.
Seriously.
They will take advantage immediately.
And so I was talking about this with a friend of ours today.
Okay.
And she was mentioning how, she's a friend of mine, but I work with her. I will never call her in the middle of the night unless I'm like, hey, I need you at the hospital tonight. If I'm just like, hey, what's up? And it's 10 o'clock, that's crossing a boundary. Even though we're friends, I don't call any of my friends in the middle of the night, especially my friends that are married and have families. Shit can wait till tomorrow. If it can wait till tomorrow, it should wait till tomorrow.
Right.
If I'm sending you an email and it's the middle of the night, I'm not expecting you to answer my email tonight. I'm just sending it when I think about it because I'm up and I need to get it out of my head.
It is an email. It's not a text message. It's not a call.
Answer tomorrow. I try everything in my power to reach out to none of my staff after they clock out. You know, even though my assistant's like, day or night, if you need something, just hit me up. Because it can wait, or I can do it myself. You know, it's very rare that it's you're on vacation or you're off, and I'm like, shit, I don't know where this is. Hey, sorry to bother you. Where is this? You know, but when people cross that line once, they'll cross it again. You know,
habitual line crosser.
Well, think about this. Like, for example, in a relationship, your boundary is don't you raise your voice at me. In an argument, or don't put your hands on me. If you do it once, oh, I'm sorry. It'll happen again because now that boundary line has been pushed because that was acceptable or nothing was said. You know, you cursing at me in an argument.
Right.
That's a no-no. Shut that shit down. You know, but if you let it happen, then it always comes at you. You know, if fuck you, this, that, and the other, if that's the way you argue and you let it go, the next argument is going to keep coming. So that line in the sand is no longer there.
Yeah.
And so the problem is people don't set boundaries and stick to them. And that's how people get run over in relationships, in friendships. You know, you get taken advantage of.
Do you think they just don't know themselves?
Oh, I think they do. They just accept. They know I don't want this, but they accept it happening. Like if you have that friend that, like you said, always needs a ride. And if you're always there doing so, or that friend who's like, hey, man, give me a couple bucks. I need to put gas in my car. Hey, man, give me a couple bucks.
All it takes is once.
They know it's okay for them to now ask you. You know, a stranger who just met you isn't going to ask you for money. If you never make it okay for that person to ask you for something, they never will. The minute you say it's okay, then they're just going to keep asking. Because they know now that seal has been broken. Let's see what the next boundary is. Dude's in the friend zone. You may never be thinking about this woman in a certain way. If one day you get a little flirt with her a little bit and she doesn't say anything, that boundary is now crossed. If she's like, dude, stop. She set a boundary.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Those lines get blurred when you become like friends with benefits and all of that stuff. You now don't have that boundary of him being just a friend or her being just a friend.
Open up a whole different chapter.
It's a whole different conversation that you got to have.
Yeah.
You know, and these are all those things that people don't think about when it comes to having boundaries. You know, one of the things I will say about standards, I think most people don't set their standards high enough. I think most people are willing to accept mediocre. And I think those are the ones that are the most unhappy.
I personally don't think they truly identify what their standards are.
Yeah, that's the problem.
I don't think they etched in stone like this is important to me. These are the things that mean the most to me. This is what keeps me who I am. This is what I need to draw this line in the sand for my own self-preservation, for my own good, so I can always be happy. I don't think people really do that.
And I think one thing they do, a lot of people's standards are more, they base it on what is more socially acceptable in their circle. You know what I mean? Not, this is what I personally want. This is what my friends think is socially acceptable for me. What standards people have set for me. So that's what I think is my standard. No. And then you have unrealistic expectations. And those to me are what people usually have of others.
Yeah.
I expected you to be a certain way. Well, why? Did I give you a hint as to that's what I am? No. I expect to, like, the thing that people hate all the time, I don't bring shit to the table, but I expect the world.
Takers.
I want to make X amount of dollars at this job, but I only want to work 2 days a week. Well, that's a big hell no. But based on generations and the times, and I think there's a lot of people out there that have unrealistic expectations. Yeah. Like, I'm going to be the next person to make $1 million a week on social media. No, you're not. But you think that's what all these influencers are doing. So you're expecting that you're going to do the same.
Right.
Unrealistic expectation.
Right.
You can set it as a goal.
Yeah.
But it shouldn't become your standard.
I mean, there are only a handful of Mr. Beast.
Yeah. Not even a handful. There's only one Mr. Beast.
There's only one Mr. Beast.
Yeah.
And then there's just people that are just trying to follow up in his footsteps.
Nobody will ever do what the Kardashians did with social media. They made that $1 billion empire, and good for them. But you don't say, because this person did it, I can too. It's all about, you can try, yes, but that level is different. Shoot for it, but don't have that expectation of I should be there.
Right. And
get mad when you fall short. Mm-hmm. That shit ain't for you. And I think we have unrealistic expectations of others because we want them to be what we want them to be. Mm-hmm. We don't want them to be themselves. We want them to be who our idea of them.
We definitely have unrealistic expectations of others, so that way we can be okay a lot of times too. And then also prove ourselves right when they don't meet them.
Yeah. You're not what I expected. Well, what did you expect of me?
Because you already had in the back of your mind that they were going to be less than. So you've created this level of expectation to hopefully they do meet. And if they don't meet, it's like, gotten.
Yeah. See? Or I'm going to try to change you into the person I expect you to be.
Right. That's another one.
Yeah.
That's a whole different ballgame right there.
And that's not how this works.
And if you don't meet that expectation, we have a problem.
And it's something that you set in your own brain. Mm-hmm. And when that person isn't falling in that path, you're mad at them for not meeting what you wanted.
With no discussion.
No,
no dialogue, no sharing of the moment.
Well, I just thought you would be more.
Yeah.
Did I tell you that I wanted more? Maybe I'm happy with who I am as a person. Mm-hmm. You didn't ask me if I was willing to change. You just thought I would. No, that ain't how this shit works.
No. And they do it all the time. They meaning everyone.
Right.
Men,
You're
women.
trying to force somebody to meet your standard instead of you just looking for somebody who already does.
Yeah.
They will grow and do their thing, but if they're not for you, they're not for you, because there's men who will click and check all the boxes you want. But those are paper standards. He may meet all these boxes, but cross boundaries left and right.
Yeah.
And just maybe a dickhead.
Yeah.
His
stats are good.
Looks great on paper.
But he don't go up the middle.
No. And there's
literally and figuratively.
Yeah. And is there chemistry? Is there, there's all these things that should be a standard for you, but you're just looking at the superficial standard, and then you tell us as men that we're superficial. Mm-hmm. Are we? Or are you?
Uh-oh. I think he's pointing at you.
Are we allowed to, I'm going to go back to this. Are we allowed to have preferences? And why is it we get shamed for having a preference? We talked about this before. Mm-hmm. If a man prefers a younger woman or prefers a woman who is not obese, we get blasted for it. But if a woman has a preference of education, money, etc. from their dude, ambition, they get praised for it. Mm-hmm. So why is it that you're allowed to have, as women allowed to have standards, but men are not? And whose standards are more superficial?
Bro, we gonna have a national park. Man. You know, the bald eagle flying by ourselves. It's because the way at the rate it's going, it's crazy. It's crazy because women and men, but mainly women, they're sticking by, and it's a forever evolving standard. You know what I mean? If he meets a standard, it's like, well, you didn't do this, or you're not this.
Because never enough.
Yeah. They're insatiable. There's an insatiable quality. It's just like, wow, okay. As opposed to me just being a good dude.
Yeah, it's like I met a good dude. He checks all the boxes of the things that matter to me, but yet I'm still not happy. Well, what are you not? What are you unhappy about? Because it ain't him.
Real talk.
You know, a man meets a woman and in his mind, I just want arm candy, and and that's fine if he's willing to put up with all the other bullshit that may come with that. If she's arm candy and she checks all the boxes of respect and peace, that's your unicorn.
Yeah.
But if she's not what you think is arm candy, but I think she is, then that's all that should matter. Mm-hmm. But guys will chase that, and what you notice is guys who get the woman from a physical standpoint who they never thought they could. And once they get her, whether it's because you're wealthy, whatever, you finally got her. If you peel back the layers, like, do you really like her as a person? Dude, she's hot. You'll always hear that, dude, she's hot.
That's
and
all
I just
say.
And I just chuckle because I'm like, eventually what's hot is not. Mm-hmm. You know? And we always say this, eating filet mignon every day after a while just becomes a piece of beef. And if that's all there is to it and you don't put no sauce on it, you don't do nothing else, it's just a piece of beef. It's a good cut of beef that after a while ain't that good anymore.
Yeah.
You know? And so, yes, the attraction has to be there, et cetera. But if you're just like, I just want the hottest chick around, cool. Let me know what that's like once you get her,
right,
and the novelty of her hotness wears off. Mm-hmm. Because the only time it doesn't wear off is if she's got everything else. Mm-hmm. Then she will always be hot to you, regardless of what the dude next to you thinks of her. Everyone will think she's hot initially.
Yeah.
Because you know her, she stays hot.
Yeah. And they get her because, one, she's hot, but she's hot also socially. Like, everybody thinks she's hot.
Yeah, which is way more important. Yeah. You know? And so, you know, we're all over the place today, but it boils down to people think. Yeah, it boils down to what number one, what are your standards and why? You have to be able to ask yourself, why do I have this standard? And two, are you meeting that standard?
Are you checking your own box?
Don't expect from others what you don't expect from yourself. Mm-hmm. I want somebody ambitious, but I'm not ambitious at all. Well, then how could you expect to have an ambitious person and you want nothing but to ride a coattail?
Right, because they're expecting to be ambitious for them.
Right, and it's cool if. And I'm not saying you have to be ambitious with your career.
That shit ain't cool.
No, I'm not saying you don't have to be ambitious with your career, but you have to be even ambitious in the fact that, you know what? I know my dude is a go-getter, so I'm going to be ambitious enough to push him to go get more. Not just sit back and accept the level where he is. I want to be that woman who I'm ambitious for him, and I want to see his ambition thrive. So I'm going to push him to do even more. That's what I mean by expect the same of yourself. If you're just like, all right, I'm cool, I got him, Let me just sit back and enjoy the ride.
Ride this wave.
If you ain't pushing him to go faster, eventually he's going to slow down. And then he's going to look at you like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah. Because he's working in overdrive and there's nothing to come home to.
Like a Peggy Bundy. You know, you look at Al Bundy, Married with Children.
Yeah.
Every day he came home and she's just sitting on the couch. If he came home and she was pushing him to, hey, start that side business. You should do this. You should do that. Light a fire under his ass. It'd be a whole different story. He'd be less miserable.
Yeah. Yeah. I had a good friend in college, man. Got married. His wife was, a educator. She wanted to start her own business. He said, okay, listen, I'm going to go out and do this real estate thing. I'm going to keep doing counseling. I'm going to set you up. You go out, you do your homework, your due diligence. I'll hook you up with the right people that I meet in real estate that can help you get started with your daycare and everything that you want to do.
Yep.
All the things. Every day he came home, sitting on the couch. Doesn't cook. So he come home, have to cook and clean.
Yeah.
On top of feed her. And I was just like,
because it's only his ambition.
Yeah. I said, bruh.
But let him become less ambitious and say, you know what, I'm only going to work one job. Even if that one job pays all the bills and there's no extra, you're not doing anything else. The stuff you loved about him, you're not bringing to the table at all.
Yeah. And the
y'all gonna be roommates sooner or later.
The crazy part is he created more ambition thinking he's creating ambition for her. And you can't be ambitious for someone else if they're not ambitious.
Like, if I want this woman who's in shape, works out, looks good, smells good, dresses well, does all these things, then I better get my ass to the gym. I don't care if I can pull her with a beer belly and all that because I got Jeff Bezos money. If I want that, I should be that. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You know, like attracts like.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you may not be the most shredded guy, but you take care of your health.
Right.
You
I want to take care of it.
You want to look good in your clothes.
I see you going to the gym, and I never go to the gym, but I expect you to stay in shape. That's when she starts cheating on you with her trainer. Mm-hmm. Or her boyfriend's, her girlfriend's Pilates instructor or whatever. You know what I mean?
Whatever the case may be.
It's because you've set this standard with her, but you don't live up to that standard yourself. Mm-hmm. And same thing with him. You've set this standard with him, but then you send him off to work every day, and there's this woman next to him that's killing it. She's pumping him up like, you got this.
Like she's running on water.
Yeah. And she's making sure that at work that he's the cream of the crop. He's going to start looking at her differently because he's getting that boost that you ain't giving him. Why? Because you're not meeting the standard that he set, that you set for him. Mm-hmm. It's real. Yeah,
it's
real talk.
It's very, very real. And you came up with this topic because people are struggling with that.
We all should be what we expect.
Yeah.
It's that simple. If you
gotta
can't
start with them, man.
If you can't be what you expect of others, then you need to look in the mirror and be like, why not? Mm-hmm. And if you can't be what you expect, then you're having unrealistic expectations of others because that shit's not attainable even in your eyes. And that's probably the self-sabotage that keeps you alone.
Yeah.
Or keeps you a failure at work.
Yeah.
You expect your friends to be at your beck and call, but when they call you and need some shit, you ain't around.
Right.
This shit's all one-sided. That shit doesn't work.
Yeah.
Man, good talk.
Standards, man. Hey, listen. Set them standards high.
Set your standards high. Make sure you keep people in your bound. Make sure they respect your boundaries.
Yeah.
Never let anybody disrespect your boundaries or cross that line without you checking them.
Start owning you, man. Start owning you. You're the only person that own you, so start owning it.
Exactly.
People be running, man. Stop running from who you are. Right. Be the best version. You can't be someone else. You can't be this person on Instagram. You can be that person on Instagram, that person being you.
Yeah.
But you can't be anybody else. Just be you. Do you. Set your standards high. Work on who you.
And if you don't like you, fix you.
Start doing some reevaluations. Do that monthly evaluation. Right. Did I? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Now I need to start setting parameters around my time, my efforts, my rest periods, my gym time, setting boundaries
with everything.
Everything. Like, shut it off.
Yeah. And don't let people cross those. Don't let people make you change your standards or your boundaries because it fits their narrative.
And you tell them, put some respect behind my name.
Oh, man, Coach, man, where are they going to find you, man?
They're going to find me at Coach KJ Knows on Instagram and CoachKJ.com. Where are they going to find me, Don?
And you're going to find me at Leonel Hunt on IG. You're going to find me at HuntSpine.com. Don't forget about the HuntFoundation.org. We're doing big things over there.
Check out the new site.
Yeah, it's great. Also, you'll find us both at SOE_podcast on IG and podcastsoe.com. Tune in every week. Go to Apple, Spotify. Go to YouTube and subscribe.
iHeart.
All of it. Just listen. We're gonna keep this going,
there.
and I need you guys to help us do so. Anyway, with that, man, we out.
We are out.